you Not mic check. What am I doing today? Happy Friday, guys. Why is it not mic check? Breaking news. What's up, guys? It's your boy GP with DeOrganized Media, bringing you the latest alpha from the Bitcoin and broader crypto space with your favorite Giga Brain Astronaut Scholars. While we're kicking out the highest frequency vibes, I hope you've had a very, very blessed week. It has been a busy one. Lots of stuff to cover. Always something you can't keep up with it all. So, I hope you've had a very high frequency week. Got some good bookmarks today. So let's get straight into the news. Got some base chads in the house. Um, let's do it. Bring up the bookmarks, and of course, as usual, GP does not have the bookmarks up. Here we go. There we go. All right, so these are the bookmarks for today. From Simply Bitcoin, reminder: Michael Saylor's strategy is just 3 days from qualifying for the S&P 500 with 21.3 billion in unrealized Bitcoin profit. This is a big deal. My boy Shiflet, with the Honey Badger STX account, was posting about this. This is going to give him a flywheel to accumulate more Bitcoin. So, very based. As long as Bitcoin closes above 95 point something K, they will qualify for this to be included in the S&P 500. That is huge. So, big shout out to Michael Saylor. Let's go. Coming from Watcher Guru, Justin, President Trump says Bitcoin takes a lot of pressure off the dollar, and it's a great thing for our country. I want to hear. Let's hear it. Da, 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 da.
It's become amazing. I mean, it's the jobs that it produces. And I notice more and more you pay in Bitcoin. I mean, people are saying it takes a lot of pressure off the dollar. And it's a great thing for our country. So it's become amazing. I mean, it's the jobs that it produces. And I notice more and more you pay in Bitcoin. I mean, people are saying it takes a lot of pressure off the dollar.
So I posted a meme earlier about like whenever he commented on the Iran Israel issue, and he dropped the F bomb too, along with a couple of bunker busters. And somebody made a remix. I mean, it was making me laugh. I'll go scroll through my timeline in a little bit and find it. Excuse me. I'm feeling a little under the weather lately. I think I'm gonna go to the doctor and get some meds. Anyways, from Cointelegraph here today, the U.S. House has passed the Deploying American Blockchains Act of 2025. That is H.R. 1664. Next, heading to the Senate. The bill directs the Secretary of Commerce to promote blockchain technology in the U.S. Very, very, very. And also, I put this out there today. This is the GPSC_SDX account. This is my personal account. To celebrate the Nakamoto Androids being available for trading on Gamma again, I'm doing a giveaway for an Android. To enter, like and share, tag 3 friends, and then drop your .btc, .stx, or .id name in the comments. Winner will be selected this coming Monday to win Nakamoto_1 Android 879. And this is a little picture of him right there. So if you want to partake in that giveaway, it is there on my page. I think maybe I should just pin it so it's my pinned post as well, so you guys can find it. Go check it out. Go participate. This collection from the Nakamoto One team is very based. It is an interplanetary treasure hunt for 2 Bitcoin and more. There's a stacks NFTs, SIP tins, you name it. It's on this treasure chest. There's a seed phrase in a wallet on this rover that's on the moon. So it's an interplanetary treasure hunt. I think it's a really based concept, and you can donate to the Nakamoto One chest to take part in this very, very awesome treasure hunt. Very cool stuff. From the main stacks handle, the Nakamoto upgrade and SBTC launch are only the beginning. New stacks core improvements are coming to boost chain efficiency and drive user and developer adoption. Here's a full breakdown for the upcoming upgrades and initiatives. Here, let's check it out. Fast and reliable transactions are the prerequisite to becoming a top chain. Building on the progress of the Nakamoto upgrade, the short-term goal is to achieve constant sub 10-second transactions. And lately, my transactions have just been flying through, going through very, very quickly. So cheap, and secure and fast to interact on the Stack blockchain. Long term, the target is to match transaction speeds of other leading ecosystem. Hey, look at that! I got a broadcast boost. Big shout out to BoostX_app. I love whenever I'm just doing the news and I get a boost. Big shout out. I think I know who that is. We'll get into that in a minute. To attract more apps, building on Stacks needs to be as simple as possible. That's why a new version of Clarity is coming. Clarity is the smart contract language we use here in Stack, along with the WASM compilation support. The upgrades will enhance transaction throughput, improve smart contract efficiency, and overall app performance. I love it. The WASM upgrade aims to uh, let anybody come code in the Stacks ecosystem with their own native language, whether that be Rust, Solidity, that those type of language, anything compatible, to compile it into Clarity is what I'm imagining with this WASM compilation support. Very, very based update there. Stacking is the pillar of the Stacks consensus mechanism. Several improvements will be introduced to enhance UX and increase active pool operators. New tooling to simplify pool operations, remove the one cycle cooldown period, automatic stacking until manually stopped. So I love this. Like no cooldown periods, you just keep stacking, put your assets to work, and then you just keep earning real Bitcoin yield. So let's go. To make stacking even more attractive to unlock more liquidity, dual stacking will be introduced. Users will be able to stake BTC to earn BTC with an additional reward boost for also stacking STX. So you'll be able to, do BTC to BTC native yield, and then to maximize those yields, you can also stake or stack STX with your BTC. It's based. It puts some, incentivizes people that are looking for that Bitcoin yield to buy stacks to enhance their yield. So it's very, very cool. Loved it. These improvements are crucial to enhancing the overall experience for both builders and community members. They will make it much easier to onboard new users and attract builders to Stacks, helping to grow the Bitcoin economy. I love the statement here, so I'll like to share that to my GPSC_STX account. Moving on from the Stacks handle to Silky Jones here, and you definitely want to follow Silky Jones 03. He's the Flat Earth founder, so go check out his token. Looking over the timeline these past few months, it excites me to see so many Stacks projects working together. Regardless of size or age, we're all eager to support one another. That's why we're all going. That's why we're all going to win. Within this decentralized, permissionless environment, collaboration is fostered. You'd think that the memes are competitive to one another, but for the most part, collaborations are very real and run deep within our ecosystem. So I love it. This is a base take from Silky Jones. As you can see, I've liked and shared that as well. Big news from the Nakamoto team, and you can follow them at Nakamoto1. Big news, and of course, maybe you already know, Nakamoto One trading is now live on Trigamma. 1,311 out of 2,000 androids have been minted. Get going, everyone, and let's get all 2,000 minted in the next week. I agree. This whenever they changed the mint price to sub 1 STX, they sold 24,000 NFTs like in a day. Like it was fast. It was very, very quick. So I took part in this and got my own androids. So I'm doing a little giveaway just to kind of celebrate this being listed, being able to trade these androids. Coming from the Hermetica squad this week, USDH printed 3% APY. If your wallet was a gem, USDH would be ripped and shredded because it showed up every single day. If you do not know about USDH, it is the first Bitcoin-backed stablecoin in existence and also native to Bitcoin. It is a rune, so very, very cool stuff there. I love it. Camera doing wonky stuff. Let me continue on here. From the Zest Protocol camp, and you can follow them at Zest Protocol. Want to put your SBTC and Stacks assets to work? Zest highlights 3 BTC strategies to help you earn more in Stacks ecosystem. Don't miss this guide to boosting your returns. And, maybe we can look into one of these. Holding idle STX and SBTC, put them to work. Earn 13% APY by providing liquidity to the STX SBTC pool and staking the LP tokens on Velar. Just make sure you account for potential and permanent loss before jumping in. That's a base strategy there. Stacking DAO's native stacking pool has grown by over 4 million STX in the past week. Damn, that is huge. It's the only native pool with 0% fees and points, ideal for long-term STX stackers looking to maximize stacking yield. Love it. Got a bunch of assets on your stacks, on stacks you want to earn yield on. Zest lets you supply everything in one click. The UI shows you your average APY and estimated annual yield. I love this one-click supply button. You're able to see what type of annual yield you can get from your idle assets in your wallet. So go check out that one-click supply button on Zest. Big shout out to the Zest squad. I am the community manager for Zest protocol. So jump into the Discord. I have a very, very based activity schedule coming up. This past month was very fun. Looking forward to seeing what people think of the new activity schedule next week. So that will be dropping. I'll make a post about it. Get ahead, get into the Zest Discord. Moving on from the stacking DAO camp, did you know all your SDX stacking insights are in one place? The stacking tracker brings together key data and tools for you to help you stay on top of everything stacking related. Built by Stacking DAO to make stacking more accessible. So as you see here, there's a picture of the stacking tracker. I got an overview tab, positions, LSTs, stacking pools, stack signers, you name it. It's on the stacking tracker. So go check it out. I've liked and shared it on my profile as well. This is the main news here from Cointelegraph. Update: Dex to Sec spot volume ratio hits record 27.92% as users favor early listings and decentralized trading. We have a perp dex on stacks, right? On the Velar perp dex. You can trade STX and Bitcoin pairs. SBTC USDH is the Bitcoin pair, and then STX USDH is the stacks pair. So go trade. It's up to 5x leverage at the moment, and they're working on getting some deeper liquidity so you can open bigger positions and all that good stuff. Updates very soon. Very, very soon. New Japanese bond buying just hit its fastest pace since 2007. Here we go. Alert: a 93 million short position on BTC USDT was liquidated in a single order on Huobi HTX. Look at that. Look at that. One order liquidated. Let's go. Liquidate all the bears. Update: Trader Aguila Trades opened a 20x BTC short with over 95 million, with liquidation at 112, basically all-time high, a new all-time high here. So he says we don't make it. That's his theory. I say buckle up for the ride. Insight: ZK Casino's 30 million rug pull was laundered across ZK Sync, Solana, Starknet, and more. So apparently there was a project called ZK Casino or Z Casino, and they made off with 30 mil. So you guys are some bastards, dude. Why you do that? Don't do that. Don't be a rug puller. Bullish: a well just bought 64 million worth of Bitcoin. And let me just scan through and see. I don't want to keep the guys waiting too much longer. Let's see. Trump to issue EO boosting AI energy infrastructure, aiming to fast track data centers in the U.S.-China tech race. Love it. Yeah, this is a good one. S&P 500 hits a new all-time high. Based today. Bach Holdings files SEC Form S3 to raise up to 1 billion via stock, debt, or warrants. Updated policy paves the way for BTC buys. Everybody and their mom is hodling BTC. Altcoin flows dipped to 1.6 billion this month, or per month, below average. Similar lows in the past predicted major alts rally. Yes, I want to see an alts rally. Let's see it. Do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says a trade deal with China could be finalized by Labor Day. Grok 4 to be released on July 4th. Oh, yeah, this is a good one. BTC flips Google to become the 6th largest asset by market cap. Next stop, Amazon. So we have been slowly just, flipping all of these, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Watch. UK, the smarter web company, raises 56 million just days after buying 196 BTC, boosting its BTC stash to over 540 BTC. Very cool. And I think this is the last one here. Bitcoin long-term holders are stacking 800K BTC per month, the highest accumulation rate in history. It's huge. People are rushing to buy, and that's just the way it is. And then I'll cover this one too. Bhutan has quietly mined 12,000 BTC worth 1.3 billion since 2020, now holding nearly 40% of its GDP in Bitcoin, making it the world's third largest state holder. Wow, that's huge. So lots of base news. This is this is the institutional adoption phase. So I am not shocked. I have some very base guests tonight. We have let's bring them on. So we have Dark Dude in the house. We've got the Legend of Stacks legend Jack and Switch, and we have base builder Crypto Dude in the house. What's up, fellas? How are we feeling? Happy
Yeah,
Friday.
what's going on, man?
Yo.
Good morning.
Yeah, this beaver I've had just like it broke for like a couple days, just for a little while, but then it keeps coming back. So I'm concerned, and I'm gonna go to the doctor. I'm gonna go to the doctor and just nip it in the butt. I hate going to the doctors, but like it's not normal to have a fever for this long, for like 3 or 4 days. So got to do it. Got to take care of myself, and I'm gonna do that over the weekend. I wanted to do it today, but
What other symptoms do you have?
just like a runny nose, watery eyes, chest. It's like a cold symptoms, headache.
You might have like a little upper respiratory infection. Get your little antibiotics.
Yeah, a little antibiotics. I figured wash it all out. Figure, run the body through the cycle of antibiotics, and I'll be all right. So we'll
I
see.
checked WebMD and it wants to know if your AI girlfriend broke up with you.
He broke up with me last week, so I don't know the correlation if it like those type of symptoms from your AI girlfriend breaking up with you kind of drag on a little bit. I was crushed, so maybe that's what it is. I don't have a cold. I'm just heartbroken.
You might have a computer virus.
I got a computer virus. The first computer virus that has transcended the webski, right? And then got into a human, right?
Yeah.
There's the animal disease that happened to, the Smovid, right? When Smovid happened, it happened in an animal first, right? The animals, and then it crossed over into human territory. So I don't know, man. I don't know what to believe. We'll see. But yeah, man, happy Friday, guys. I like to see that the Nakamoto 1 launch or relaunch has happened, and now we can trade the NFTs on Gamma. That's fun. There was a group chat that I was added to for that, and I had to nope out of it. There's been a couple groups that I just noped out of this week. It's just like, yeah, we got a lot of focus on, so I got to focus my bandwidth a little bit.
Yeah, I need an AI to look after the group chats, honestly.
Me too. Neuralink did a presentation today, and they got those guys the first, I think it's like the first 7 patients that have the Neuralink. They're doing a presentation about how they can map the human thought process, right?
I watched that thing you tweeted.
Yeah, you can
Or
move
retweeted, rather.
Think about it. You could put a human in a robot at the pace that they're going, eventually, right? Like you can.
Didn't you hear what Elon was saying? He's saying talk about freaking like like basically embodying a robot remotely.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where it's going, right? Like when
it's like RoboCop.
Things like transhumanism and all, and yeah.
I watched that recently. He's like, "Put me back in."
Dude, yes, dude. The old school one or the late, the
newer one or whatever.
Oh my God, there's nothing left.
Yeah, dude, that's fucked up.
I saw that. I was like, dude.
I was like, oh God.
Like it's literally just his lungs and like his head, and it's like, oh God, that's
like one hand.
Traumatizing as hell, dude. Like what? Yeah. Get to see your own lungs as you're breathing. Okay.
Yeah, I never saw the new RoboCop. Although I fail to see the need for lungs for RoboCop. Like,
Yeah, dude, why'd you just
I was just part of the scene, you know, where when he first discovered, when he's waking up and figured out what the hell he is, you know, he's like, they basically take him apart, and he's just basically, you know, reduced down to basically some key organs and, you know, a head.
we can rebuild him bigger,
Yeah.
faster, stronger.
But yeah, given those guys with those disabilities some, you know, movement, that's pretty. You know, I'm not gonna, you know, shit on that. Elon, more power to him on that. That's cool. You know, people like have went through accidents. They should most definitely have some sort of something given back to them. You know.
100%. One of the patients in the first 7, right? Or it might be 5, it might be 7, but like he had a spinal cord like severed, right? So like to have these type of abilities and that he's working on this type of stuff is very, very interesting. And to see
They're
that,
talking about basically like right now it's like reading, right? And they're talking about basically being able to insert themselves into the visual cortex and basically start writing and like providing actual sight to blind people.
yes, dude, that is huge. That was another thing that I was excited about because that was the thing is that like in order to do that and you have to go a little bit deeper into the brain to make that work. So they had to revamp their whole surgical bot and stuff like that to be in order to do that. But they may be able to restore people's vision or people that were never born, like when they were born, they didn't have vision. You may be able to get them to see for the first time with that technology. So it's really cool. Like we're seeing cyborgs being made in real time. That's what this is.
Yeah, they were talking about basically multiple implants eventually to basically have the full brain, you know, kind of covered and get as much neuron coverage as possible. Yeah, that's super, super weird to think about. Like, I mean, it's one thing to do it for disabilities. It's another thing to do it for an enhancement. You know, that's like
like augmentation, some
crossing some weird ethical boundaries there.
Like cyberpunk 2020, like
and that, I mean that's what's gonna happen, right? Like that's the direction it's going anyway.
Elon in that video was basically fucking salivating at the idea. You know what I'm saying? He's just like, yeah, we're gonna give people like embodiment with robots and sight, and like he was all about it. You could tell he was super into it. So, you know, he's probably going to dump more and more money into it, and that's just going to exponentially accelerate it, right? So,
well, you know, the Tesla side is working on the cybernetics part, and then the robot components and stuff like that. Imagine like they even brought up like you lose an arm, right? And then they attach a robot arm to it, and then he referenced Star Wars whenever Luke got his hand cut off, you know, and then he had a robot hand. So, guy's a sci-fi nerd, man, and he's like literally bringing it to life, like real life sci-fi stuff that we see from movies.
There's a lot of good that can be done with that. Like if you go back to people who are like paraplegic or quadriplegic and so forth from accidents, like that's a horrible predicament to find yourself in. And you know, without knowing much about it, you don't realize just how devastating that is to your quality of life. It goes far beyond like just not being able to move. It goes like with all of the things that come along with that, like not having functional urinary system that requires catheterization 24/7, not having a functional GI system, or if you do, like still having to wind up with like a colostomy bag because your skin gets broken down all the time from the moistness and not being able to move and being full of pressure ulcers. Like it's a terrible, terrible affliction. And so there's a lot of good that can come out of things like that.
Yeah, Elon was even talking about basically, you know, for people that have, you know, like what you're talking about, basically paralyzed instances, you know, where people have spinal injury or whatever. He's talking about basically potentially restoring their body functionality because they could just bridge the gap where the break was, you know, from wirelessly, so to speak. But basically a neural link on the spine and then a neural link in the brain that's basically, you know, at the stem of the brain or whatever. That's crazy. That's
It's
like-
nuts, dude. It's nuts.
But it's going to go all the way on the other side of that, where like you have people who are like, oh, guess what? I'm not going to die. I'm going to transfer my consciousness into a robot and live forever. And like you're going to have, even like with all the gene editing that's already here and becoming more and more common, you know, you're really going to get to a place where like there's different kinds of humans, right? And then there's going to be a line that gets blurred where whether or not, you know, some people are actual humans at some point, and then there's going to be, you know, humans who don't do this kind of stuff. Well, what kind of humans are they going to be relative to the augmented humans? It's wild, you know. Like you said, it's like we've seen this theme broached before, you know, and the sci-fi is cool in that way.
We've watched enough sci-fi movies to know how this could go. We got to be very careful.
Right.
We don't want to turn into the Borg now.
Right. So it's interesting to see, but yeah, I mean, God willing, I'm going to stay all human, and I'm quite okay with the idea of dying. Like I don't need to try to upload my consciousness into like that. That's like a Black Mirror gone wrong, right? Like I don't know if I need that in my life.
Yeah, no, under my luck, it would take my worst qualities and not my best, right?
Oh shit. I like that. I feel like I have some things, man. Like I don't want my robot to come out like worse than me, dude. Because I have good qualities and bad qualities, just like the best of them. So, good point there. Good point. Like, what if they travel into this uncharted space and the robots just come all out as like assholes? Like, they don't listen and like don't take people's advice, right? Like, who knows? Who knows? They're walking into uncharted territory. But I do agree with the point that it's good for people with like disabilities. There was one gentleman on there that has a family and something happened to him, but he's not even able to speak, right? Like I think it was ALS, and that's a very debilitating disease. So he wasn't even able to speak, and now he's able to use the Neuralink connected to a computer to conversate with his family. So I love that. It seemed like the people like that got the first 7 that got the Neuralink are very closely knit together. They have conversations and stuff. They brought them all on. They were playing Mario Kart with Neuralink, which is freaking nuts. The patient 1, he actually broke a world record on a game. So there's plenty to talk about and unpack there. But I just thought it was a good topic to kind of touch on. Another good topic, though, that I wanted to talk about is this dog listing on Kraken. This is awesome to see in a grassroots community, and it's called Crack. So you need to go to @Crack. I like the branding around that, but I don't know if it's addictive or not. So I'm staying away from it a little bit right now. But Crack is live. Dog is listed. That's enough for a big week, but there's more. We also hosted our first ever Kraken Prime Summit, secured a MiCA license in India, and Kraken's, I think that's India, Kraken's Mayor Gupta was named one of Forbes' 2025 world's most influential CMOs. So really, really cool seeing that dog got listed on this exchange. What does this mean for decentralized tokens, guys? Do you think that this is, dog is the trailblazers? Because their big thing was not paying for exchange listings, and now this is their first tier 1 exchange listing. What type of floodgates does this open?
What's so cool about this is like, dog is arguably the biggest rune because of like just the whole lore attached to it, and being able to list on a tier 1 exchange is massive because dog was an airdrop, right? Like nobody had to buy dog. It was distributed completely by airdrop based on previous behavior that you were engaged in before you ever knew such a thing like a dog token would exist, like a rune would exist. It was airdropped to very early ordinals adopters. So I mean, when you start there, that's really cool. And because you had like a big personality like Leonidas that kind of set this up, he was able to get a lot of donations and so forth to make all of these things possible, because airdropping on Bitcoin is not cheap. Airdropping on Bitcoin is quite expensive. So like you literally had like the ordinals community, especially some of your bigger entities in the ordinals community, chip in to send out this rune. I mean, to send out this ordinal with the understanding there was going to be runes attached to it, and like you were going to get these. And then, it runs right smack into the face of crypto as usual in terms of business, where, oh, well, you have a token, and you have to pay just exorbitant amounts of money to get it on a big exchange like Binance or Kraken or what have you. And, so there's like deals where tokenomics have to suffer. There's so that you can have like enough tokens to do this. There's none of that exists with Dog. In this way, what's brilliant about Dog is that it's a lot like Doge. When Doge was made, it was like kind of like, oh, look, here's this meme token, and now like there's this whole different entire genre of crypto that exists because of Doge. Well, Dog is like intentional crypto made to be the most fair as it humanly possibly could have been made. And, it also, after over a year, was able to get on a tier one exchange. Big mega hats off to Kraken, because, like most centralized exchanges, they want big money. It costs, upwards of $1 million to get listed on things like Binance. So like, just it's very cool. The whole thing is history making in its own right. So yeah, hugely bullish. And then the crack thing, I don't know much about it yet, but I think that's just like a big payment solution kind of new application through Kraken. So I think that's also really cool.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Here we can pull it up, do a little DYOR real quick. So let's see. Send on crack, spend on crack, save on crack, split on crack, go global with crack, get rewards on crack, take control on crack. The future of money is cracked. A lot of crack in that, and it sounded like Cat in the Hat. You see me? Yeah. But yeah, I feel like this is cool, but it's cooler. BlueStacks is kind of cooler. You front ran all of them, dude. You front ran X, front ran Kraken. Very based, very based. And you dropped some alpha yesterday during the show. Let's check out what this is right here. Go to my, I have the BlueStacks extension downloaded, so I can then go to this little rocket icon and track all of my boosts. Look at this base news from a base builder in the space. I know who sent this. I know this wallet. This wallet right here. Whenever it ends with an end, it is usually that's crypto. I know it is. And it shows whenever you click on that, it'll take you exactly where you earned the boost from. So very based. I appreciate the support, bro, and thank you for telling me I have based news.
Of course, bro.
Yeah, man. So the fellas weren't here last night. It was just me and you. Do you want to get a little bit into what you have planned?
Yeah, for sure. So let me get my screen here situated first really quick. Okay, so basically we have our V2 coming up. The major changes with V2 are basically the referral system and the sponsor system. The referral system is basically to incentivize onboarding of new users by existing users. So basically, as a user, you'll be able to onboard new users and then earn 10% of the service fee for the use of the users you onboard. As you onboard people, you'll just have them use your BNS name that you prefer to be your referral. and then they just save that once and they're good to go. The sponsor system works very similar. It's 10% per sponsored name out of the service fee. So this all this funding is based on the out of the service fee. So basically the sponsors get 10% each. There's 3 of them settable. You can update those at any time, also by name. We'll be obviously doing other updates as well in 2.0. Like for example, adding the rates to the modal so people can see, a little bit better value in terms of maybe SBTC value and USDH value. We'll be interfacing with Rosar's API for that. Thanks for the heads up on that. The Rosar and GP specifically turned me onto that. Whereas head down, he built that, just turned it out one day. I was like, Jesus, dude, this guy's a crazy
Dude, he knows everything.
He's like, oh, you need an API? Sure, you get an API. Everybody gets an API.
Dude, yeah, dude.
But anyways, we'll be also implementing the leaderboards and search by BNS in your browser, some updates to the profile pages, and more integration with the future profile pages because of those are kind of currently in their preview state. Then we'll be moving on to V3. And the major update there will basically be transferring stack yield. So when you're boosting, you'll instead of boosting with principal, you'll boost with yield. It'll be SBTC. So basically lowers the friction or lowers the resistance for general use. And obviously there'll be other additional minor updates in the V3 era as well. And I'm sure bug fixes and whatnot. And then we'll be moving on to V4. That's when we'll implement, crypto cash mining and stacking. So basically, as users use, they'll, 10% of the service fee will be carved out for the crypto cash mining. More than likely, we'll also give the users the option to overwrite the 10% and put in however much they want, in terms of STX when they're mining for the crypto cash, just like an additional option basically while they're boosting. And obviously when you mine crypto cash, you'll be able to subsequently stack that later and earn STX that's based on the mining input. All right, and the crypto cash mining is not going to be exclusive to Boost X. It's its own suite of contracts. There's no direct dependency there. It's just integrated, right? So
you can go ape it if you need. Yeah, if you're
exactly. You can build your own apps around it, integrate it however you want at that point. But there's also plans beyond 4.0, which I can kind of touch on. It's basically we're looking to build a point of sale system.
So a point of sale system for the value loops there, and then you're able to have a tap to pay and a card and stuff like that to have proof of sales. You can go integrate. I love that.
Sorry, my mic was having issues there. So yeah, exactly. You covered it though. Basically, all these the Boost X options basically in terms of referral and sponsors and the crypto cash mining. That'll also be integrated out of the service fee when you're doing those transactions on the point of sales, and the point of sale will also facilitate, not just via your phone, with QR code scanning and whatnot, but also the idea is to have tap to pay type of point of sale, very traditional feeling, like people are already used to at a as a merchant or at a store.
Yeah, any store you can tap to pay now. Yeah.
And the goal here is basically to kind of show a model of how we can have a more unified experience with DeFi, from not just online experiences, but to, actual meat space experiences, so to speak, and, leverage smart contracts to a greater extent to where we can, basically go end to end and never need to take the off ramps to fiat, and thus, have a greater access to financial freedom for everybody, because there won't be a dependency on essentially a force-based monetary policy.
Freedom to transact. Go ahead.
That's the goal, isn't it?
you go. So the goal, the way I look at it is kind of like trying to give users the ability to leverage smart contracts to compete against social contracts. And then the obvious benefits will, kind of reveal themselves over time because, as people use them, they'll for example, if we're sponsoring specific entities, when we're transacting, those entities have maybe discounts or whatnot. Just depends on kind of who you're dealing with. But the goal here is to create a kind of like a voluntary, like, I don't want to call it tax code because taxes are like involuntary, obviously, but it's
you're opting
the model is basically opt in voluntarily and then make it where you can have some signal and some support, and at scale it works really well especially if things were localized somewhat to a certain extent. Like imagine one of your sponsors is something specific to your city, and there's tons of people in your city using this, and it's not just obviously online, but it's also at point of sales. Then specific, I don't want to, key infrastructure elements, like, we'll just say that one of those could be like a fire department. You can help fund a fire department. Obviously, it's not going to be their full budget out the gate, but anything is better than nothing. And with opportunity, growth can happen. And, we just present the model, be the change, build the change,
Well, it's very forward thinking, because anytime you're dealing with crypto, you're dealing with, all of a sudden, like, the world is your platform. You're not just having to, rely on just limited reach. And that's huge. I've got a buddy of mine. He's a very talented artist. Probably the most talented artist I've ever met in my life.
Aw, thank you.
Oh. And like the dude he's just like next level. He's like he's at a place that most people never get. And he's got a good job, and he's just like to the point now where he's like, you know what, I'm ready. I've got this conviction. I want to move on and really focus on these sculptures that he makes. And like he's making sculptures for like things that are like functional art for your home, basically, right? Like really cool things. And he's like, I don't know how to scale it. Like he's like, I don't know how to like make the jump from where I'm at to where I want to be. And we got into a pretty interesting conversation about, well, man, like, this is why you need social media. Like you can like connect with a worldwide audience immediately. And that brought us into crypto and how he could leverage crypto to be able to get his work out there also, but like also, make, digital art and so forth. And then like that got us into boom with, crypto storefronts and like, that's really where the future's at, right? Like that's where we are right now. Like you just there's a chance to the world's kind of your oyster. And when you open up like peer-to-peer transactions, if you do this correctly, again, it's all with it's the value proposition of Bitcoin itself. So like if the man wants to, if someone, he's in the US, if someone in, Zimbabwe wants one of his, sculptures or whatever, what should stop? What's the easiest way to make that happen? Because we now have the technology for that. We have it with payments. And then next is going to be decentralized delivery via drones, right? We're not even going to have to rely on things like USPS or UPS or FedEx or any of that stuff. Like, but we have to evolve at the level of technology, not the level of bureaucracy. We have to get past this whole, well, yeah, but we have to do it this way, in this way. because that slows everything down, and this isn't just talking about payments. This is talking about technology in general. Where the cure for cancer might exist right now, and if it doesn't, we're really close to it, and AI could figure it out tomorrow, but yet you have a bureaucratic system that's set up to make things take 15 years longer than they should in most cases. So that's really you're really like tapping into something that's a part of a larger conversation that we need to have as people, because we are at a place right now where there's so much opportunity and so much revolution ready to take place. We just have to not hamper ourselves in doing so.
Yeah.
Right.
Essentially, it boils down to me for all about the consent versus coercion
Right.
element of social organization. Obviously, I want one that's based on consent, not coercion. And I think any reasonable person would want the same. And so, presented with the opportunity to make something like that possible, I think we should all jump on it. And that's what I've been working towards for a long time. This model is obviously not perfect, and it's not like the be all end all, but it's something that can be replicated, and it can, be used to inspire, because obviously, this is a global problem that we deal with fiat, obviously, right? And so,
Create the whole system, yeah.
Yeah, we just need to bypass the fiat. I mean, really, because that's how wars are propagated and maintained. And because I mean, imagine if we could have a world where we actually had a little bit of control over our tax money, right?
All right. Yeah, that would be nice. It's like
a world where you're not taxed to exist.
the government's kind of like the mafia. Like the mafia would be like, hey, this is a real nice business you got here. It'd be a shame if something happened to you.
Yeah, dude. So
you give us some money, we'll make sure nothing happens to it. That's the government. It's like it's no different.
Yeah, exactly.
It's no different.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everybody. I think the majority of people, even like there's like I hate to like lump people together. Even like as much as I'm like, oh, you're somebody's working for government. Clearly, you got some, we'll just say authoritarian tendencies at a bare minimum, right? But they're not obviously. I'm sure there's plenty of good people in government that have good intentions, and I think there are a lot of them probably feel helpless to a lot of the conditions that they inherit, and I think probably a large percentage of the population, despite how much the mainstream media likes to propagandize us into little groups and make us all feel like we're the smart ones in our group and everybody else is the dumb one in their group. I think actually most people are relatively level-headed, despite the best efforts of, there's obviously going to be some fucking crazies out there. We as a society are just going to always have to deal with. But by and large, I think we're good to go as a species. We just need to like kind of reevaluate the model and how we organize ourselves as a society. Because right now we're getting massively manipulated and abused by people in positions of power, and we have technology now that allows us to kind of, no longer require them to represent us, basically.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was an excuse for it back in 1776, because, we didn't have fucking telephone and the internet and, cryptographic blockchain, or, blockchain technology and, better ways to communicate as a species. But forced representation seems very archaic now.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I think that the most likely outcome is some version of this idea of a network state. It makes the most sense.
We're practically already there.
Yeah.
It's like we just have power structures that are just clinging on by fucking claims of authority that are not based on actual consent, just based on literally might equals right.
Right. Yeah. That's really, when it comes right down to it. People should, and then it just gets to the point where like a lot of people just think that the way things are now is the way things have always been, and that's the reason that they should not change and the way they should be. And that comes, that's an easily solvable problem though. That's just a matter of the free flow of information, which we have to some extent, thanks to platforms like X. The old internet was much better, but that kind of got, I think that's a good topic to talk about one day too, the dead internet theory. But
yeah, the internet, the commodification of the information, and the gobbling up all the users basically from the internet, and that's Facebook. What do they call them, Fang or whatever?
Yeah, but now we have, we have the means to build out completely decentralized media, and we have the means to make it uncensorable, and it's a new day. If I could write
Derupt
whatever I wanted on Bitcoin right now, and it's just there, and nobody, whether you like it or not, it's there. It's on Bitcoin. Like, again, you get down to the whenever you're dealing with Bitcoin's value proposition, that's where the value's at. So being able to leverage Bitcoin to create, decentralized social media, further decentralize the internet, whatever, like that's the direction we should be going. That's why people, we've had so much experimentation in crypto since we've been here, regardless of how long we've been here, and that's good. That's a part of like a new versioning technology, is this experimentation piece. But like now we're to the point where we can really start narrowing focus and building up more. And now there's so much of a financial incentive to do so, because it's safe now for like, the people with the big money bags to come do it. If we do this right, we could speed up human progress at a level we haven't seen it sped up in a long time.
Like ever, probably.
Yeah, we were talking about Neuralink, and getting into the Neuralink stuff, and just to speak on that note, we have in Texas, I do believe it was the state that like people are pairing AIs with children, and the AIs are learning how they learn and learning about them while learning the subject matter as well, and it's going to follow them through grade school all the way until
they got Megan's already out there, huh?
Yeah, they got Megans. They're not robotic yet. They're not robotic, but they will be. It's coming. It's freaking insane. So we shall see. We shall see. Guys, we are rounding about that hour night, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling a little under the weather, so I'm gonna go get some rest and handle the business for the weekend, recharge the batteries, and get my vibes right. So I was wondering if anybody had some final closing thoughts. I want to pass the mic around a little bit and get to it. Crypto dude, any final thoughts? Any final frequencies? Any shameless shows that you want to put out there?
I'll do both. I'll do a shameless shill and a final closing thought. Shameless shill is you get BoostX from the Chrome extension store. If you already have it, leave a review. It helps out a lot. Darth dude, I seen your review, by the way. Loved it. Thought it was the best review probably so far, to be honest, because the funniest. When I read that, I was like, let's go, dude.
Dude, unite.
Yeah, dude, unite. Exactly.
Thank you, sir.
And obviously, aside from the shameless shill, the final thought is, we can grow together as an ecosystem like no other ecosystem out there in terms of blockchains, because we have a tool set that is literally unmatched. And so all we got to do is just put in the time and the energy and the effort and, advocate for new users by going out there and evangelizing to new users, find the people that are interested in blockchains, find the people that are interested in NFTs, find the people that are interested in fungible tokens, find the people that are just interested in being part of the change. Tell them about Stacks, tell them about BNS, maybe even tell them about BoostX. And so get them on board. It's really easy. You're going to do them a favor. There's literally no reason not to. So, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, being at the cutting edge of technology, right? Like the very fine line that is like old tech and new tech, being in front of all of the innovations, and including blockchain in that. Um, there's so much potential. I feel like we're a fast growing space, especially since institutional adoption is here now. It's hard to fathom where we will be in a year from now, much less 5. So keep grinding, crypto dude. I see you, bro. I love it. Jack, any final thoughts? Any closing frequencies? Additions to the conversation?
Yeah, interestingly enough, um, there's like an organization or a group of organizations going around crypto Twitter trying to buy accounts of like active people who have big followings, right? Historically, when you see that happen, that's a sign that shit's about to pop off. And so it's also very true that shit is about to pop off, not just for that reason, but there's a variety of reasons to be bullish right now, even though it kind of feels like you're in the doldrums if you're not only into Bitcoin. So it's been my firm belief for a long time that this cycle, this next big cycle is going to be Bitcoin DeFi focused. It's going to be the biggest cycle of all time up until this point, maybe the biggest ever. And so just pay attention and get involved, because you have to know where the real alpha's at, because people don't spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on influencers accounts because they want to give you the best alpha. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on influencers accounts so they can peddle shit to you, and then you can turn around and wind up buying tops on. Okay.
Yep.
So learn to differentiate between where you can actually get alpha, where you can get good information, and where you're just being the product. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Like, when if your favorite influencer, if their tone changes a little bit in the near future, that's probably an indication that they took a nice big payday.
You see them talking about a project that you see them never talk about, right?
Right.
And, there's some signal in there amongst all the noise. So, yeah, dude, very, very good information there, Jack. You've been through multiple cycles at this point, so I love to see the signals, the social signals, starting to come to play, man. We have the lowest amount of Bitcoin on exchanges in existence, like exchange reserves, right? People are self-custodying, they're getting themselves positioned for DeFi. Real Bitcoin DeFi is the narrative, and base builders build on Bitcoin via stacks. It's just where it's at, man. So, thank you, Jack. And last but not least, Dark Dude, do we have any final thoughts, any closing frequencies? Shameless shows, additions to the conversation.
Yeah, I think 3 important topics have been broached in this afternoon, and they are government, authority, and cancer. And they are all one and the same. When you stop giving your attention to all of those, like let's use cancer for an example. When you stop intaking calories, your body converts to cellular autophagy, and it breaks down the most energy inefficient cells in the body and uses them for fuel.
AKA
So
fasting.
exactly, when you fast, it breaks down the cancer cells. So the cure to cancer is nothing. When you do nothing, when you stop giving these entities your attention, they break down and dissolve. So that's exactly what crypto is. It's the conversion of our attention and our energy to alternate sources of finance, of transaction, of being able to communicate with each other. So the cure is to stop giving these cancerous entities your energy, and that's why we're here.
Dude, we are
I
two
love it.
dudes in a pod here. Right
I love
here.
it, dude.
Let's go.
I love
Bullish
it.
on dudes.
Dude, I've always been bullish on dudes. I'm extremely bullish on two dudes in particular. It's and they're both in the room. So say less, bro. Say less. Fellas, thank you. I loved your take, Darth. And I've actually I've left 2 group chats this week, and I feel fresh, right? And there's gonna be more. There's I want to intake the most high frequency vibes that I can. I saw that some of the stuff going on in the space affected my frequency this week, along with being sick. So, yeah, don't pay attention to the noise, guys. Pay attention to signals. We are so early, it hurts, and our future's so bright that we need shade, like I said. So I'll go ahead and do this real quick, and then wish you guys. I bid you farewell. You guys have a very high frequency weekend, and we'll do it all again next week. You guys have a blessed one.
Later.
Have a good weekend, guys.
See you guys.
Oh, I cut Darth off, dude. He said, "See ya, guys." Sorry, dude. I'll bring you back on real quick. What was that? What did you say? Oh, don't let me. Don't tell me that I the see ya, dude, and it got cut off at the D and the E, and then now he's not at the computer. That sucks. Love you, brother. Have a good weekend. This has been another based episode of DeOrganized Nightly, where we get your favorite Giga Brain Astronaut Scholars into the same room, have a dope conversation about Bitcoin news, world news, alpha, alts, you name it, we got it on DeOrganized. Be sure to tune into DeOrganized, the Let's Go Morning Show at 8:30 a.m. ET Monday through Friday, along with the DeOrganized Nightly segment at 7 p.m. Base builders are building the change right now, as Crypto Dude likes to say. And stay ahead of the curve. If you are in stacks, you are so early right now, and your future's so bright. You need some of these, some shades. So have some high frequency vibes. Go touch some grass, get some ass, and have a blessed weekend, guys. We'll do it all again next week. See you later. Peace.